Hey everybody, some of you might wonder why I was so quiet here in the last few days, why I haven't done a lot of videos and whatnot. Well, I'm gonna let you know, because by the title, I'm sure you can tell, I'm remembering my granny. She passed away 5 years ago today. And it's not been, peaches and cream and everything else. Gone. I've had to learn to deal with things on my own. And, she told me before she died, I remember sitting down with her. I was grown by this point, but she told me, I'm sorry that your life has been hard. That's the way she put it. And she said it would probably always be that way. Not because of my own personal choices. It's because of other people's choices. Like, my mom isn't really around. Hasn't really ever been around. And no, please, before I continue, do not take this as a bashing video, because it is not a bashing video. My dad's not really around either, so I don't really have my parents to talk to, since my grandparents both passed away 5 years ago, one in October, one in November. I've really had hardly anyone in my family speaking to me. My aunt talks to me like rarely now. I actually have to call her to basically even have a small conversation with her. And, it's really sad when you get told, oh, I was just thinking about you. I get told that every time I call her. So it's like, is that really true? Or are you just telling me that to make me feel good and tell me what I want to hear and not say the truth? That you just forget about the fact that I'm even breathing like the rest of the family. Because, truth be told, my grandparents are the ones that took care of me. My parents were not around. I'm going to be about that. What you want based on that, but my parents were not around. They had their reasons for not being around, but whatever the excuse or reason was not a valid one for leaving your child with your parents. And, there's no saying I'm sorry and taking that back, because due to that happening, this would be why me and my parents are not close, because they were never there. How can you be close to your parents and have a bond with them if they want nothing to do with you and you've never done nothing to them? It's like they cursed the day that you were conceived, and they cursed the day that you were born. I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience where your parents cursed the day that you were even created and didn't want you. Before you were ever born, didn't want you. That doesn't make it your fault because your parents didn't want you. That's on them, not on you. I've been struggling with that for years. I thought I'd done something to make my parents hate me. Truth be told, I never did anything. They just didn't want any kids. And there's a lot of mysteries. Like, my grandparents couldn't tell me, for sure who my dad is even. No one really knows. It's like, people will say, oh, well, this person's your dad. Do you have the DNA evidence to prove that? Because my grandparents didn't have it. They had no clue. There's been a lot of questions that have came up with no way to verify it or to get answers, because the people that need to answer this stuff are either dead or they refuse to talk about it. I asked my mother a question because, my granny and my pops have been dead for 5 years. I can't talk to them, obviously. I asked her before Thanksgiving one night on the phone, why doesn't the family talk to me? What have I done that's so bad? Why does my cousins not want nothing to do with me? Why does my Uncle Bob not want to talk to me? It's like, what did I do to these people? She couldn't even give me a freaking reason. She's like, I don't know. Well, then you're going to sit there and tell me that they talk to you, but they won't talk to me? It's like, what have I done that was so bad? You've done worse, but they talk to you. It's like, am I not your child? Did you take me from somebody? Did you do something dumb when you were younger? What did you freaking do? It's like, am I even biologically your child, or did you take me from somebody else? You know, all sorts of theories can run through your head when you can't get simple answers for questions that are very straightforward. I understand that my mom has learning issues, okay? I do too. But some of this stuff is common sense. You should be able to answer it. It shouldn't be hard to give an answer for it. But for some reason, it is hard. It makes it, makes me hurt because I really don't know anything. It's like, the family I'm told I'm related to, we act totally different. Like, I'm a totally different person, and not in a bad way either. I'm a totally different person from my family. Like, they all act differently than me, and it's like I just don't belong in that family. It's like, how could I have been born into a family that I don't even, act the same as, I was the only one out of all my cousins that actually went East Coast to live, 3,000 miles away from everybody. This is no joke. My grandparents even knew this. They knew I wanted to get the hell out. When I turned 18, they knew I wanted to leave, and they supported that. They let me make my own choice. They didn't make me stay there like the rest of them chose to. Maybe that's part of the problem. I went outside the frickin' box and left and found my own way, and they chose to stay where everybody was. They didn't want to branch out and live somewhere far away. I think the furthest cousin I have that lives far away from Butte County is my cousin Michelle, because she lives in Nevada. But that's still not very far away, because that's still drivable. You can still get from where she's living at to Butte County within probably 12 hours. Maybe less, maybe more, I don't know. I didn't do the math, so I wouldn't tell you, but still, that's the furthest cousin that lives from that area. My half-brother lives in Oregon, so he'd be the furthest, immediate family from that area, because he's in Oregon, but still, that's doable where he's at. He can get to, Butte County within a matter of hours, too, so that's not very far away either. It's like everybody kind of stayed either in Northern California, or they stayed close by it, like in Oregon, or in Nevada. I was the weird one, living in Iowa, New York, Pennsylvania, Missouri, being in Portland, Oregon for a while. I was the one going everywhere and trying to find a place that I felt comfortable to be at. Which my grandparents, I'm going to go back to them, would be happy to know that I found my place that I'm comfortable, and I plan to never move from here. I don't care who cries, moans, and complains and all that crap. I'm never going to move away again. I was in the same place for 5 years before I did move, but you know what? That was a move that needed to happen because I was not comfortable in the desert. There's no greenery there. There's no trees. There's no grass. There's no vegetation in the desert. For those of you that like the desert, I'm not knocking it, but for me, that just wasn't my forte. I like, mountains and trees and grass and flowers and, you know what I mean, the lushy, pretty stuff that you see. I like to be in the places where when fall hits, you can see the color changes, and you can't see that in Arizona. You cannot see color change there, because I'll tell you why. You don't get all 4 seasons there. Ooh. So, I'm glad to be out of that hellhole. And I know my grandparents are now not turning in their graves knowing that I got out of there. Because I was living in Arizona when they passed away. And they were not happy about it. They didn't like it, the fact I was there, because they knew the situation I was in. Matter of fact, I was homeless when they died. Yep. But I have turned myself around and gotten better. You know, I have an income now, got a place to live. You know, and I know that they're happy. I know they're looking down and grinning, knowing that I did what I needed to get my life straightened out. Because that's all my grandfather ever told me, and basically said, when are you going to get your life straightened out? Well, Pops, I think I finally did. And I know you won't be yelling at me no more. If you were alive, you'd be happy for me. Yeah, I've had a lot of unfortunate events happen to me. Having cold-hearted parents, which I don't know if I can call them that because they sure don't act like it. Having family that you're born into that don't even act in any shape or form like you. Just a lot of crazy things like that. You know, going back to what my grandma had said about life being so hard for me. Yeah, life is not going to get any easier for me. Things are still going to be hard for me because I have no support from my family. And I'm not talking like financial, because I don't need their money. I'm talking like emotional support and just being there. They're not there for me. They haven't been most of my life, and I doubt they're going to be in the future. They just don't give two rats' asses about it. Just life. But anyway, before I end this, I just want to say, Grandma, I love you, and I miss you. And I love you, Pops, and I miss you too. I'm glad you guys did what you did, you know, when I was born. I'm glad that you guys were there for me when nobody else was. I'm glad you took the time to invest what you did. Because, you know what, I could have turned out a whole lot worse if you hadn't been there and taught me what you did. You know, I got raised up to be at least an acceptable adult that knows respect, knows responsibility, and things like that, compared to, you know, your daughter that doesn't know anything. And I don't mean, like I said, I'm not bashing my mother, but she is the complete 180 of me. Like, I'm responsible. I pay my bills and everything else. Like, for years, this woman did not have a home. She didn't have a home until, like, last year when she finally got kicked out of my dad's house, my supposed dad's house, and she moved up with an ex-boyfriend. That's when he took over and helped her. Now she's in a permanent place. Now she pays her bills. Now she's functioning like a normal person, basically. But it took somebody else to do it. You know, to get her to start functioning like a normal person, a normal, responsible person. You would think she would already know these things, because she's in her, I think in her 60s almost, or already there. It's like you would think she would already know those things. You know, my grandparents, I know they taught her this stuff. She just never bothered to learn and actually, you know, let it sink into the brain. You know, they taught me all these things. You know, I knew all this stuff because they told me when I was growing up, things are not going to be, you know, peaches and cream when you're an adult. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities. Enjoy being a kid while you can. You know what? They were right. Because you know what? Sometimes I wish I could go back to, like, I don't know, 1990, 1989, somewhere in there where I'm just, you know, between a preteen and teenager, where life was just so simple. All you had to do was go to school, do your homework, do your chores, and go play with your friends. And I could go home and have dinner with my grandparents. I would give anything for a one-day scenario like that to see them again, because I really do miss them very, very much. Because, you know what, out of all the family, they're the only ones that I do miss that have passed. I don't know if I'll miss anybody else besides my aunt, maybe. Because, like I said, none of them act like me, so it's like, I don't know. It's like, what happened? A lot of unanswered questions there. And I know some of you are probably going to be like, well, why don't you do a DNA test to find out for sure who your family is? One problem with the DNA testing, that stuff's expensive. It costs money to do that. And also, I'm not sure if I want to do that because you can't argue what you see on black and white paper. I might uncover things that I don't want to know. So that's why I haven't pursued the DNA. Maybe I will in the future if I feel brave enough to, but right now I'm not willing to do that because I'm too afraid to know the outcome of what that test is going to reveal. I don't even think anybody has ever lived this, had this happen to them. Not many people. You feel like you just don't belong in the family you were born in. How many people have actually experienced this? Seriously. I'm just curious, like, if you've known anyone that's had this happen to them, comment below. Because I'm kind of curious, like, how many people have actually dealt with this? Like, not knowing, like, why they were born in the family they were born in, because they don't act like any of them. And your siblings, if you have any, are all numbskulls. It's like, what do you do? Like, nobody's like you. Like, your parents are more messed up than you are. Your siblings are numbskulls. They don't have their life together either. And it's like, you're the only functional one in your immediate family. What's wrong with that picture? And what's really sad is when you treat your parents like they're kids. When you have to praise your 60-year-old something dad and mom for doing the right thing. I should not have to praise them like they're 12. Believe me, I've had to. I have witnesses to that too. I've actually done that. I've actually had to praise them like they were 12. That's not exactly normal. And it's more like me when I call my parents. Oh, well, me listening to all their problems and mine going on the back burner like I'm the parent, they're the kid. That's not normal either. That's why I miss my grandparents, because at least they listened. And my aunt too, she does too. I'll include her in that. She listens to a certain point, but my grandparents really did listen to my issues and tried to help. But anyway, before I go too further away from this subject, which I've kind of been in and out of it, which, I don't know, I'm just kind of saying what's on my mind about my family, so it's all about family. They're all connected to my grandparents, so it really don't matter. I'm going to go ahead and close this live feed. I don't even think anybody has seen it yet, but that's okay. I just felt like doing a live feed instead, that way I didn't have to upload the video when I got done recording. That's it for you. Talk about being lazy. Anyway, y'all, I'll talk to you all later. And again, this is why I've been kind of quiet and not really doing a whole lot of stuff, because I've been just thinking about my grandma. And I'm going to get through today, and hopefully tomorrow will be better for me. So, anyway, talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Bye.